Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Sue, returning to narrate her 5th Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
It's the swan song for the Northern Illinois Huskies in their final season as members of the Mid-American Conference. Alex sits down to talk with Coach Thomas Hammock at Mac Media Day, and then the boys dive into their 2025 NIU season preview. Stay tuned.
What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the Mac Sports Connection podcast, where Alex hosts all things Mac, all things football, all things sports, right here, Mac Sports Connection, baby. The Mid-American Conference best, bringing it only the greats, Mac, to everyone.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Mac Sports Connection. We are here at Ford Field, 2025 Mac Media Day, and a voice you guys are going to recognize, or should recognize anyway, good friend of the program, Thomas Hammock, head coach of NIU. Welcome back.
Hey, thank you. First of all, I just want to thank you for, covering our conference. I mean, you do a great job, and, the sacrifice that you make is something that a lot of people I know we listen to and follow, and just want to thank you personally for all you do.
Well, thank you. It's and it's the fans. It's that I think this is something we can kind of get into. I do this for the fans. I do this for the people who love this league, who want to have a representative, who want to have a voice. And I think you could kind of get that sentiment a little bit. You love coaching because of great fan bases.
Correct. I played in the MAC, so
right. Yeah, you get it.
I'm a fan of the MAC, and when people take the time to cover this tremendous league of competitive teams and coaches and everything that is about this league, kudos to you.
Well, thank you. It means a lot, and it means a lot to have you back on the show. I feel we've done this now every year for the last 5 years.
Correct.
So we've got to know each other a little bit. But I guess we'll just get to the question. One final ride.
Yes.
In the Mid-American Conference, heading off to the Mountain West. So naturally, of course, I had to have you back on. But how big is the target on NIU's back right now?
Well, I think the target's on Toledo's back. If you see the poll, they were preseason number one. Mm-hmm. So I think we're kind of flying under the radar. People look at our roster, and we had a bunch of seniors last year, and we lost some guys to Power 4 opportunities. And I think they don't know what we have yet. Yeah. But I think in a short amount of time, they're going to quickly discover that we got a pretty good team. And I'm excited to get this season started. Well,
and getting to know you over the last couple of years, I know you to be a very relationship-oriented coach. And I feel like a lot more, and not to throw any coach under the bus, but I feel like a lot more we're starting to see, here's what I can offer you cash-wise. You're not that way. You're very much, come get developed, let's build a relationship. How difficult has that been in the now transfer portal era to keep guys, or to kind of go find guys who may be, quote-unquote, chasing a bag?
Yeah, I've learned not to take it personal, mm-hmm. right? When this first started, and I remember the first kid that came into my office and said he was transferring, I completely lost it, because I was like, we helped you in high school get your grades together. We kept you on track. We made sure you went to class. We made sure you are developing the right way. And so you just don't take it personal. You do the best that you can do for them in the time that you're around them and hope that they understand that. But the thing that's so interesting to me, and this is why young people don't understand, we had a young man come back and work out with our team about 2 weeks ago that had transferred 3 years ago.
Wow.
And so what you try to tell them is, you go transfer somewhere else and they give you some money, they really don't care about you, right? So the relationships are different. But you don't understand that until you go through it. It's like becoming an adult. When you're a college student, you think everybody cares about you and want to wait on your beck and call. And then when you leave college and nobody cares, then you have to figure it out.
Yeah.
And so we still keep those relationships, which I think is so critical for development, right? And we do it for the development of the student athletes to get them. Colleges is like that bridge into adulthood, and people are missing those steps. I spent 5 years in the National Football League. Those players make a lot of money, but they also understand their responsibilities.
Right.
College student athletes don't understand their responsibilities yet because a lot of them just left high school.
Yeah.
So what responsibilities do I have? And you give them all this stuff ahead of time, which they haven't earned, right? And they don't understand how to deal with it. So, I think there's a natural segue or a lot of education that needs to happen along the way that, as coaches, we are starting to miss those steps. And that's unfortunate because in 10 years from now, when you look at this era of college football, there's going to be less coaches, there's going to be less teachers, there's going to be less people that are successful in life because of everything was given to them in a short amount of time.
Wow. And I think that right there is such a great point. The adversity you go through as an athlete, that builds you for a little bit more success down the road. And if you're just kind of skipping and hopping and chasing the next thing, you're not getting that. You're just getting everything. So I think that's a great point right there.
Yeah, let me I want to tell all these young college athletes something. We all wanted to quit at some point in time. But let me just tell, we had no options, right? We wasn't going to sit out a year. But we were able to persevere,
right,
which helped us develop as people, which helped us develop as men, which helped us develop as husbands and fathers and becoming successful in life. And we needed that, right? We needed that development at that time in our life to become successful later in life. We can't skip those steps in this process. But unfortunately, it's becoming transactional in this age of college football. And these guys, 10 years from now, I am anxious to do a case study on what these young men become after they leave.
Sounds like somebody's working on his doctorate thesis right there.
I'm going to go back to school when I'm done coaching.
Oh, I love it.
And I made that maybe my doctorate study.
I love that. It's and I think it's interesting, and we'll talk about the roster here in a second. There's so many of these rosters where they'll say, returning 48% and they're in the top 20% of the country. That turnover in this wild west of NIL, transfer portal, the game's completely changed.
Yeah. You're going to get younger and younger every year.
Yeah.
Which is a byproduct of being able to evaluate and being able to develop. And I tell my coaches we have to develop. We have to embrace that. We have to get a young person ready to play 6 months earlier than we want to. And we got to continue that philosophy. And last year we lost 10. And so we got a lot of younger guys. We're talented.
Yeah.
But like I tell my coaches, they're young and they're talented. And in 6 months, a lot of people are going to be looking at our roster again.
Just incredible to think about. So NIU, they're returning, some key pieces. How do you balance developing guys like Josh Holst, Telly Johnson with your portal additions? Those are guys you recruited.
Yes. And I think for us, we're going to always look at building the foundation of our team with high school student athletes. And then when we add guys or supplement guys in the portal, we want guys that have been productive. Just because a kid went to a Big Ten program and didn't play doesn't mean he can play for us.
Right.
Because they're taking our players.
Right.
So I don't care if you went to a Division III school or Division II school or FCS school. I want guys that have stepped on the field and been very, very productive. And so we were able to really supplement our roster with very productive players that won't be in awe when it's time to step on the field, and some really good football players that really have greatly increased the competition on our football team.
Special teams has been an area of contention.
Yes.
What's been done to kind of improve that for this year?
Well, we hired a special team coordinator from Ball State,
Yep.
Coach Conley.
Yep.
He is phenomenal. The job that he has done since he stepped on campus, obviously he did a great job for 10 years at Ball State. Ball State has been a thorn in our side, since I got the job. We've lost some tough games and some one-possession type games because of special teams. So I figured if we couldn't beat them, let me get a guy that can help us offset that situation. But he's drastically changed and upgraded our special teams. We added a kicker from Kent State, Andrew Glass,
Yep.
who is a all-conference type kicker, and I think he's going to be a difference maker for us on special teams.
I love that. And just we'll kind of wrap this up here. Give you a chance to get to your other media obligations. What's one thing you hope to take away from your guys' final season in the MAC besides a championship?
Well, I think for us, and something that we fight for every year is consistency. And then when we do have that type of game where you play really, really well, come back and stack another one. And that's what we're looking for. Obviously, we played Notre Dame and played really, really well, and then lost the next week to Buffalo in overtime. Not that we didn't play well. We didn't make enough plays to win the game. And sometimes you lose a game, and our kids were ready to play. They didn't overlook them. We just didn't make the plays necessary. So now, how consistent can we be for 12 straight weeks is what I'm looking for. And if we can be consistent for 12 straight weeks, we're going to be a tough team to beat.
I love that. Coach Thomas Hammock of the NIU Huskies, the swan song season for the Huskies as they depart the MAC, leaving for the Mountain West in 2026. Coach, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you and your friendship and everything you've done for us here at the podcast.
Thank you, and go Huskies.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here for another edition of our MAC football season preview here at the MAC Sports Connection. I'm Alex. Joining me as always is Graham. Graham, we are on to, I think, possibly the most interesting preview we're going to have this year. Northern Illinois. There's lots of storylines here. Northern Illinois in their final year in the conference. Their schedule has a game at newcomer UMass. There's a lot of things going on with this Northern Illinois team, and I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of intrigue about this team this year, and a lot of it is not about how well they play football. I think the biggest story about this team is them leaving the conference. So this kind of feels a little bit like a waiting period year where we've got Northern Illinois just kind of in a holding pattern while they wait to join the Mountain West. And our other storylines here, we talk about can they get another big signature win? Last year they have this big win over Notre Dame, and then they don't really do anything with it. They succumb to the MAC. They succumb to MACtion and end up on the outside looking in, at least as far as the MAC title game goes. And I think we were all kind of putting our hopes into Northern Illinois last year, talking about these Huskies as a possible college football playoff team, where everyone's starting to whisper they beat Notre Dame. Who else could they beat? Turns out themselves. It's the answer to that.
It's interesting. They started off the season 2-0 a year ago, wins against Western Illinois, and then obviously the win over then number 5 Notre Dame. But then conference play came around, and I'm looking at their conference play stuff. Every loss they had the rest of the way, minus Miami, Ohio, was a 1-score loss. They lost to Buffalo in overtime, lost at NC State 24-17, lost to Toledo 13-6, lost at Ball State 25-23, and then the final dagger of their conference schedule, 20-9 at Miami. They did get the bowl win against Fresno State in double overtime, so that was a big kind of feather in their cap. But yeah, on the season, not the best record, 4-4 in conference play. We'll see if they can improve on that this year, and it's going to start with the quarterback. This is a quarterback room who lost Ethan Hampton, who was their leading passer a year ago. But when you kind of look at look at the numbers from the passing game a year ago, it wasn't exactly an electric passing game. This was the passing game that finished 10th in the conference, averaging 178 passing yards per contest. And I don't know that it gets much better. I think presumptive starter Josh Holst has the ability to kind of take it forward. He played in 7 games last year, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But then he had a little bit of a ground game. But I think the biggest thing with Ethan Hampton is there was so much that they needed him to do. He couldn't do it himself. And I don't know that Josh Holst can do it himself.
Yeah, I think that's where we come to here. We talk about there was really a battle this summer for the quarterback position between returner Josh Holst as well as Jackson Proctor, who is a transfer from Dartmouth. Proctor had a better season last year. Of course, he played a little bit more than Holst got to play, and he played at Dartmouth, so a little bit different venue here. The question of who can do it, who's going to be the guy. Northern Illinois has been a run first team for a while now. And, having a quarterback who can do some of those runs, who can add in that extra wrinkle in the run game makes a big difference. And it remains to be seen who that guy is. Proctor had a few more yards on the ground last year at Dartmouth than Holst did at Northern Illinois. But I really do think it's a question of who can do it all, because that's the way this Northern Illinois offense runs. I haven't been particularly impressed with this Northern Illinois offense, and this year even less so. So I'm not sure who the quarterback here is. I'm not sure it matters.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the factor. It's how much can whoever wins the starting gig kind of lead this offense, and we'll talk about what implications are kind of with that and what's going to be required. But it kind of moving into the ground game a little bit, we've got this running back room who there are some nice pieces. I really like Telly Johnson, who is probably going to be the starting running back. Jalen Powell, both of them had experience last year. But as you mentioned, kind of with Northern Illinois being a run-first offense, we saw that. They were second in the conference a year ago in rushing offense, put up 203 yards a contest. So very, very, very heavy emphasis on the ground game. And I think that's a little bit to make up for where they lacked in the quarterback position. Now you're going to have to rely on Telly Johnson. 6 games last year, almost 500 yards, 4 scores. Siobhan Wright, D2 transfer coming in. He had some production at the D2 level, but we'll see where he kind of fits. But this is a running back room that has a lot of players, but not a lot of experience. There's a lot of freshmen. There looks, by my count, we've got 5 or 6 freshmen in this backfield room.
Yeah, and a lot of guys, talented guys. 3 former 3-star recruits, including Telly Johnson, who you mentioned. It looks like this is going to be a 3-headed beast back in the backfield between Telly Johnson, Siobhan Wright, and Jalen Poe. But I expect in Northern Illinois last year did a lot of running back by committee. I expect some of that this year, but I really do think Telly Johnson's going to get a lot of work, which is cool because a guy who really in his opportunities last year looked good. And I think given a few more opportunities and a little more of a lead back role could be a stud in the MAC, at least in terms of the running backs.
Well, and I think we're going to see what Quinn Sanders, the offensive coordinator, can do. He was the head coach last couple of years at Charleston D2 school. Coming in, won the Mountain East Conference with the Charleston Golden Eagles the last 2 seasons, 10-2, 11-1, made it to the playoffs. He's got some tools. He's been successful at a lower level with the offense. Now it's time to see what he can unlock at a slightly bigger level. And this room has a lot of potential. It's just who's going to be their bell cow, who's going to be their spell guy. It's going to be a lot of fun. but I'm really concerned there's a lot of non-experience that I think could hinder them just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Northern Illinois does enough rushing that they'll figure it out. It seems like every year they figure out their ground game. And I don't expect this year to be any different. There are going to be plenty of guys willing to step up and run the ball. Plenty of talent in this room, and not a ton of prior production, prior experience, but certainly some, and a lot of talent there. I'm not worried about the running backs for Northern Illinois.
The position I would argue, at least on the offensive side of the ball, that I'm most concerned about here is the wide receivers. We saw Ethan Hampton kind of dish it out to a couple different people last year. But two notable losses. Trayvon Rudolph transferred, a rare in-conference transfer to Toledo. And then Dane Partridge. He looked like he was going to be kind of the big man for Northern Illinois this fall. Got an offer a couple weeks before the season started to go to Rutgers.
Yeah, just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, literally. And so now they have to kind of shift this offense again. You've got two guys who really have experience. George Demopoulos, who I think is going to be your big target. But yeah, Gary Givens coming in from Valparaiso. This one doesn't feel like a room that has a lot of depth. I mean, you've got LaDon Bryant, who played in a couple games last year. Justin Lynch, pretty sure he's the brother of former Heisman candidate Jordan Lynch, for those who are following along. But this is not a room that I feel very comfortable with. A couple transfers, no splashy big transfers. You got a D2 transfer in Deirdre Rogers. You've got Andrew Bond coming in from a D3 program. Thomas McCoy was a redshirt freshman at Marshall. Kenji Lewis, Bethan Cookman. Like, it just, there's a lot of non-flashy transfers and not a lot of depth in this room. This is their probably most eviscerated room from the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, lost a ton of production from last year, and lost a bunch of guys. I mean, that super recent loss of Dane Partridge really hurts. That's losing your top guy right at the end. But a lot of this attrition comes from Northern Illinois getting looks last year following that win over Notre Dame from other programs looking to poach, and also from these guys recognizing that Northern Illinois just doesn't pass the ball. This is a run-heavy team, and so these guys want the opportunity. So we see guys like Trayvon Rudolph go to greener pastures of Toledo, who airs the ball out a lot more often. So losing these guys doesn't surprise me. I'm with you. I'm not super sold on the depth or the experience of this wide receiver room, but I'm not sure it matters. I mean, Northern Illinois, they use the pass to open up the run, so you want some talent there, but I expect this offense to be even more run heavy than it was last year.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment. This is going to be the offense that's going to rely so much on the ground game, and that's worked for Northern Illinois. Wear you down on the ground. I mean, we literally saw it work against Notre Dame. That was let's wear you down. Let's tire your guys out, and then hang around just long enough to kick the go-ahead field goal late in the game. That is a Northern Illinois special. That's a Thomas Hammock special. He's been very well known for playing ground and pound football. He himself was a running back in the same running back room as the Turner Burner. Just some great guys who have come through this Northern Illinois program. Michael Turner, arguably one of the best running backs in MAC history. And I wanted to apologize. Kenji Lewis, not from Bethune-Cookman, actually from Arc Pine Bluff. So I did misspeak on that. I apologize. But yeah, this is not a room I'm overly excited about. I think that there are guys what I think happens here is we have a room that has a lot of guys with a lot of opportunity to step in and try to become the number one guy, to give, whether it's Josh Holes, Jackson Proctor, whoever, to give them somebody reliable downfield or even in the slot. And I think kind of going into the tight ends, we're talking about more receivers. Grayson Barnes was another big part of this receiving offense. And as you mentioned, another player who was getting looks. He's now in Morgantown, West Virginia. And Jake Applegate, he's back. But this is a very, very thin room in terms of depth.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's there's a ton of talent here. You talked about Jake Applegate is really the only guy with any experience here. And he was mostly a blocker last year. We kind of expect him to be in that same role again. We're going to talk about how much this the Northern Illinois team tends to favor the ground game. But Caleb Heck is a true freshman, 4-star recruit. So he certainly has an opportunity to get some playing time. I really think this room is wide open. There's a ton of talent here. We got redshirt freshman Jason Fowler, redshirt freshman Devon Akers, redshirt freshman Joe Stein, true freshman Devin Havermill. All these guys, very talented. All these guys have a shot to make the field because there just isn't a ton of tight end depth. So I expect Applegate to get first looks, and I also expect true freshman Caleb Heck to get a little bit of time on this offense. That being said, there's just not a lot of passing pie to divvy up. So these guys might get a slice, but I expect it'll be very thin.
Caleb Heck, a 6'9" freshman, as you mentioned, 4-star recruit. Looking at some of his accolades from high school, 8-man football All-State, team captain in back-to-back seasons, first team All-District, 2-time first team All-Conference his junior and senior year. Last year, he had 23 catches for almost 600 yards, 12 touchdowns. And then he added to that with 40 tackles, 24 of those for a loss, 3.5 sacks, and a pick, a 3-year varsity letter winner. So this is a really quality get for Northern Illinois. I don't know what his blocking ability is, especially in a program that's going to do a little bit more run heavy. But I think you're right. Jake Applegate, probably the one who gets the initial nod, but I would not be surprised to see everybody in this room get some sort of attention. A lot of 3-star talent, redshirt freshmen and true freshmen. This is going to be an interesting room. Just a lot of question marks given the lack of experience in this room.
Yeah, we're going to see a ton of guys from the tight end position rotate in various packages, especially to assist with blocking. And speaking of blocking, the offensive line, we talk about this Northern Illinois team as such a kind of ground and pound sort of team. And that starts with the guys up front. They were especially strong last year, maybe the strongest offensive group for Northern Illinois last year. And coming back, we got a few guys coming back. We lose our top offensive lineman in Evan Buss. But coming back, a lot of experience, not a ton of starters, but a lot of experience on this offensive line, as well as transferred in Aiden Tweedy from Wayne State comes in to be an anchor in the interior of this offensive line. But a lot of these guys, big guys, experienced guys, not a single starter under 300 pounds. We got Evan Malcor, looks to be the left tackle, Jacob Welch at left guard, Aiden Tweedy probably at center, Abathar Curry is at right guard, and Thomas Patch at right tackle. So big guys, strong guys, guys with experience, even if it's not starting experience. And I expect this line to be very solid for the Huskies.
It is D2 experience, but I think experience still counts. Aiden Tweedy played in 29 games over the last 3 years, starting in 22 of those, 19 of that at center and 3 at left tackle. For those Husky fans wondering how much he's going to complement this offensive line, I would not be surprised to see some various packages. I mean, this is a pretty veteran offensive line. A lot of red shirt. I think they're all red shirt guys. And I think that's going to really help out this ground game, and ideally give the quarterback a little bit of time. But this is an offensive line that has proven to be solid. You look at what they did last year. They didn't get blown out. Like that was really the thing. They didn't get blown out every single game they were in. So I think, you lose Evan Buss, but you keep a lot of other pieces. And I think this is going to absolutely be one of the strengths to the Northern Illinois football team this year.
Yeah, overall, this team lost a lot in terms of production, only returning 35% of their overall production, but they do return 37% offensively. So there is something to be said for that returning production on the offensive side. Not a ton of returning production, but on both sides of the ball, the team is going to need to adjust to the loss of production. Now, moving over to the defensive side, Northern Illinois only returning 33% of their production from last year. And we talked about how strong this defense was last year. The big reason why Northern Illinois was able to get that win over Notre Dame. So, I think the defense is going to have to be the highlight of this team again.
Yeah, I think when I think of Northern Illinois, it's kind of like what we did with the Chuck Martin thing, known for their defense. And that's going to be the Thomas Hammock special, ground and pound, and then play some tough defense. And it starts with the defensive line. You got a tall task to replace Skylar Gill-Howard, who transferred out to Texas Tech. And then Devin O'Malley, you lost him to graduation. This is a really, really tough loss to lose both of those guys. Also, you have a new defensive coordinator, Rob Harley, hired back in January. So you're learning a new defensive scheme. Roy Williams and Deshaun Dixon are going to have to be the big guys to step up and say, "Hey, this is our team." I think Devontae Murray, another guy that you're going to have to rely on, and then Mark Hensley. I think that four are your big one. But I'm looking at this just, there's so much depth in this room. This is probably the deepest room for Northern Illinois outside of elements of their offensive line. This defensive line is the deepest room. Everybody but their commits has a playing experience, and again, some of it's just one or two games for a couple plays in blowout or in multi-score victories. But everybody in this room has some experience, and that's valuable.
Yeah, they rotate a ton of guys on the defensive line, keeping everybody fresh. It allows Northern Illinois to be very disruptive, even late in the game, especially against worn out, tired MAC offensive lines on the other side of the ball. So I expect this defensive line to be another big group for Northern Illinois. The loss of Skylar Gill-Howard, you mentioned, to Texas Tech. That's a big loss. That's the star of this defense from last year. Probably the top guy on the team last year. So that loss is especially tough. But you're right. There's a ton of experience here. There's a ton of talent. You talk about these true freshmen they brought in. They brought in 4 true freshmen on the defensive line. All of these guys, 2-star recruits or better, and all of them looking to just reload instead of replace in terms of this, or instead of rebuild in terms of this defensive line. I think this line is going to be great as a unit. So far, I don't see anybody who stands out to me as a big star. But we'll see as the season goes on. Somebody might step up and surprise us.
I think if I had to pick one guy, it's going to be either Roy Williams or Deshaun Dixon, and just because those are the guys with the most experience, I think that their leadership is going to be incredibly valuable as we go through this year. But again, we will see.
I love that. I love that you said if I had to pick one guy and then you picked
and I
two.
picked 2. Yeah,
that's right.
It's, both of them, they're going to combine for one person. They're gonna morph together. That's what's going to happen.
That's right.
Looking at these linebackers, though, this is another room that was really hurt. Jaden Dolphin, Christian Furman, both gone Um, we'll see. A little bit of experience in this room. Jake Gassaway played in 13 games last year. Danny Cronin, transferring in from Dartmouth, played in 10 games last year. Quinn Erweiler, I think, is kind of the guy that this team's going to rely on. Played in 13 games, 22 tackles, had a sack, and 1 pass breakup. I think he's going to be the top guy. I think they get Mark Prado back. He was injured a year ago. So we'll see. This is an interesting room.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we look at the linebackers here, we expect to see a little more experience. We expect to see a little more depth, especially from linebackers at Northern Illinois. We don't see a ton of that this year. But that being said, these guys are solid. You mentioned Quinn Erweiler, looks to be the leader on this defense, middle linebacker position, a redshirt senior. He's been here a while. He got some experience last year. And he's going to have to contribute for Northern Illinois if they want to be successful on the defensive side of the ball. I also like getting Mark Preto back at the outside linebacker position. A guy who is talented, who missed out on last year because of that injury, but who I think we're going to see big things from, especially given the strength of the defensive line in front of him. That really opens up sort of pass rushing opportunities for these outside linebackers.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be key. You want to have a strong, outside linebacking core, but really you want a really solid middle linebacker. And I think Quinn Erweiler is going to be that guy. Danny Cronin, transferring in from Dartmouth, that is a big addition in terms of depth. A guy who's going to play probably rotational middle linebacker. So this is going to be a lot of fun to kind of see what they can figure out. And then a bunch of young guys with no experience, but some commitments who I think could possibly step in and make an impact. I don't know what they've been doing in camp, but there's an opportunity for them to get some playing time and get some meaningful playing time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think this linebacker room has a couple of seniors and a couple of juniors who are going to hold it down. But there's going to be opportunities for the younger guys to step up and get a little bit of experience behind them. Maybe the weakest group on defense is the defensive backs for Northern Illinois. This group was solid and deep last year, and they lose a ton of that production. So,
yeah.
We're going to be looking at a bunch of different guys this year at defensive back to step up. We do have a little bit of production returning, a little bit of experience coming back for the Huskies. Redshirt seniors Ty Miles, Cyrus McGarrell, and Muhammad Jama are all coming back. All have experience, as well as redshirt junior Jacob Finley. So all four of those guys rather. A cornerback, a nickelback, a couple of safeties there. Who have a ton of experience for Northern Illinois. Even if they weren't necessarily starters in the past, they've seen some playing time. They know what the system is like, and they're ready to step out there for the Huskies.
I think Jacob Finley, obviously, a really, really big opportunity for him to kind of anchor down that cornerback one position. And he's got some of the numbers to back it up. He was one of the better corners last year. And I think right now you just got to figure out the depth that sits behind him. Who takes that cornerback 2 spot? Is it going to be Dante Harrison, the D2 transfer? Is it going to be Malik Armstrong? Who's going to step up and kind of take that role over? So I'm very excited to see, outside of these top guys, who's going to be kind of anchoring in. I think your starters, you throw in Jacob Finley, Muhammad Jama, Cyrus McGarrell, Ty Miles. You throw those guys out there. That is a pretty solid starting lineup. If you can figure out a way to work that in, it's the depth I have question about.
Yeah, I think there's a few solid starters here. In general, this isn't the most talented room for Northern Illinois. But I think the defense seems to always come together. This is a group that always feels like it's greater than the sum of its parts. last year, individual position groups for Northern Illinois didn't fare very well in rankings, but defense overall did. And so the explanation there is that this group is greater than the sum of its parts. So I have no doubt that this group is going to be stifling in terms of run defense, and they're going to be pretty good against the pass as well.
Cannon Woodle is not kicking for Northern Illinois. In fact, I would say this is the biggest upgrade for Northern Illinois this year. Former Kent State all record holder kicker Andrew Glass comes over, and talk about an upgrade. This guy only played in 3 games last year, but that's okay. He set multiple records at Kent State, has a pedigree for hitting field goals from beyond the 50. Last year he did not, but he has done it. This is the upgrade you needed. With all respect to Cannon Woodle, this is a massive upgrade, and this will win them a few more games than they would have last year.
So that's the side for the kickers. As far as punters go, who knows? we have Danny Vukovic coming in, relative unknown, no experience, and we'll see how he does at the punting job. I think Northern Illinois is hoping they don't have to punt that much, so maybe they can ease their new punter in here. What's more wild is, had we done this show just a couple weeks ago, we'd be talking about what a great returner Dane Partridge is, but obviously he's not there. So we're going to have to look to Jalen Poe to step into this return man position. We don't know that much about him. He has a kickoff return that was incredible, 89 yards. So not bad, 89-yard average for his kickoff returns. He has 1 punt return that he returned for 0 yards, not as great an average. Not a ton of return experience. Jalen Poe can be electric with the ball, so I'm not too worried about return duties. But it'll be interesting to see. We just haven't seen any proof of concept on the field from him yet.
Yeah, and I think that might be one of the bigger question marks. Kicking is going to be fine. Punting, we'll see. Inexperienced, but an opportunity to give it a shot and to see what he can do. The kick and punt return, I feel like, we're probably going to talk Jalen Poe the most, but I wouldn't be surprised to see some mix of this wide receiver room, guys who are going to jockey for position, to say, hey, I want to contribute. I'm not going to get a bunch of playing time now as a wide receiver. Let's go do special teams. Let's go return kickoffs. Let's go do whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some of that kind of happen. But this is going to be overall, this unit of the team is going to be a massive upgrade, even if it's purely off the back of Andrew Glass.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, before we move into the schedule, I want to remind you to download the Varsity app by Lairfield. That app is for free in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. On the Varsity app, you can listen live to all your favorite programs from across the SEC, Big Ten, Mid-American Conference, and more. Sign in, save your favorite sports, and calls from your favorite programs. You can also download and listen to the Varsity Podcast Network in that same app. You can sign in, find your favorite podcasts, such as yours truly, the Max Sports Connection, Group of Five Guys, and the Sickos Committee, and hundreds of other incredible shows. Download that app today. It is free in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Start listening to the calls and podcasts that bring your conferences and teams to life. Graham, this is probably going to be my favorite section to talk about, the 2025 NIU football schedule. And NIU draws a few tough ones here. But I think we're going to see NIU get tested by everybody. With it being their last year in the conference, they're going to take everybody's best shot to try to prevent them from winning a 6th championship since 2011.
Yeah, NIU has had Well, they've had a ton of different schedules over the years. They've had tough ones. They've had easy ones. This one, to me, lands somewhere in between. It doesn't look especially tough to me, but also not a ton of cupcakes either. Starting off the year, they host Holy Cross at home. This is an August 30th game. Alex, who do you have in this one?
This one feels pretty easy for me to pick. I'm going with an NIU win. They get the season started right.
Absolutely. I completely agree. NIU takes the win on that one. The following week at Maryland, a little bit tougher matchup.
This one is a little bit tougher matchup. And I think I'm hoping for history to repeat itself. Maryland is going to be terrible this year. Let's just call it. When I look at how they finished last season, this was not a great Maryland team. They lost 5 of their last 6 games, including and 7 of their last 8. Like, this was not a great Maryland team by any stretch of the imagination, and I think they're only going to get worse. I am banking on Northern Illinois to get the win against Maryland, and I'm giving them a final Power 4 conference win, or final Power 4 win as a member of the Mid-American Conference, and it's going to come in the form of Maryland, similar to their 2003 game against the Terrapins.
Wow, I think that's a great pick. I think it's a great point. I'm not sure what the if there even is a line for this game yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if Northern Illinois is favored in this one. I generally like Northern Illinois in games against these kind of weaker Power 4 opponents. I think they often take the MAC opponent for granted, and I don't deservedly or not. I think it's an easy trap game for these schools. So I am with you. I think this is a Northern Illinois win.
Huskies with another boneyard victory before traveling down to Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville, Mississippi. Stark Vegas, the home of the Mississippi State Bulldogs. We saw Toledo eviscerate this Bulldogs team a year ago. We seeing the Bulldogs lose to the Huskies this year, Graham?
So I think Mississippi State is especially susceptible to losing games as a team in the SEC. I think that a lot of Bulldogs fans came at us last year in regards to that Toledo game, making excuses for their team. That being said, I think the Bulldogs were embarrassed last year. I don't think they're going to take their MAC opponent so lightly this year, especially given that this MAC opponent did take down national championship runner-up Notre Dame last year. So I do think the Bulldogs pull this one out, but I think it's close. I have Mississippi State in this one. Yeah,
I'm all the reasons you just listed, and in particular, even if they looked at Northern Illinois as any other opponent, they're not trying to lose to a MAC program 2 years in a row. That is embarrassing for Mississippi State. That is embarrassing for the SEC. The SEC, who proudly touts that they are the top to bottom best conference in all of college football, only to lose in back-to-back years to the Mid-American Conference. I think that they took their medicine a year ago, and Northern Illinois coming off of a win at Maryland, that's tough to pick up 2 back-to-back Power 4 wins, both of them on the road. I have to give the home team the advantage here.
Absolutely. The following week, we get to host San Diego State, and the Huskies getting a little bit of a preview of what's going to be like to face those teams out west. For this one, I think San Diego State has been an interesting matchup for the top half of the MAC over the years. We've seen them a lot in bowl games, and I think as far as Northern Illinois goes, I think they drop this one. I think this is a San Diego State win.
That's interesting. I don't disagree with you. I look at San Diego State schedule here to start the year. They play Stony Brook to kick off the season at home. They do a trip up to Washington State, and then they do a trip to California before coming out and then they host California, before coming out to DeKalb. I think that they're going to have a little bit of a struggle in the first half, but I think that their offense is just going to be just enough to pick up the win. So I'm going with you. San Diego State picks up the road win, and then we enter MAC play. We talked about Miami, Ohio last week on our preview. We both have a win for the Huskies, starting off 1-0 in conference play. And then a couple weeks ago, we talked the game at Eastern Michigan. I said NIU gets the win. You gave them the loss to the Eagles.
I think Eastern Michigan is going to be tougher this year than folks expect. And I think NIU is going to be reeling. I think this schedule has them kind of bouncing all over the place for quite a while. I also think they're looking forward to this conference move. So maybe not quite as focused. And like we just talked about, they've lost a ton of production from last year. So they're going to have to do a lot to gel as a team. And I think coming in here, following a victory over a tough conference opponent, Miami, there's going to be a little bit of a hangover. And so that's why I have an Eastern Michigan win.
The MAC did Northern Illinois 0 favors as they walk out of the conference. A road game at Ohio. Ohio has been, especially in the last couple of years, a particularly tough place to win a game at if you're the road team. I like Ohio to get the home win.
Absolutely. The Bobcats are so tough at home. And I just don't think Northern Illinois necessarily has that this year. So this is an Ohio win.
So we've got the Bobcats taking that win, and then we get to the next fun bit, the next rivalry game for the Huskies, the battle for the Bronze Stalk. I've got a Ball State victory here, and only because Ball State has had some incredibly fluky wins in this rivalry the last couple of years. I see them pulling out a really random fluky win against Northern Illinois to close out this rivalry series as conference opponents.
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not?
You in fairness, you did have Northern Illinois winning this one based off of our Ball State preview, but I just wanted to reiterate, I think this is a Ball State victory.
No, I sorry, I was not agreeing with your pick. I was just saying I'm sure that there is some justification for it. I don't see it. Northern Illinois gets the win at home.
All right, moving into the second half of the MAC schedule, the midweek MACtion slate of the schedule, starting with a road game at Toledo. Brian Blair has been really pushing to get Toledo to pack the Glass Bowl for this game to really showcase the stadium. Sounds like they're really going to make a push to try to get 30K people there. I like Toledo at home. Toledo's just going to be so good. Now, in fairness, Northern Illinois has absolutely been the Achilles heel to so many great Toledo seasons. We've seen it under Matt Campbell. We've seen it under Tim Beckman. We've seen it under Jason Candle earlier. Like, this is Northern Illinois has somehow found Toledo's number for years.
Yeah, I am not happy with you because you took what I was going to talk about here. But that being said, I think when we talk about Toledo in a couple of episodes, you'll hear us talk about how talented this team is. Maybe the most talented team in the MAC this year. You're going to hear us talk about the kind of how strong each of these position groups are. And in general, I like Toledo this year. That being said, Northern Illinois has been the Achilles heel of Toledo teams in the past. I think this game comes just at the right time of the season for Toledo to have their annual upset at home. So I do think this one goes to the Huskies.
Graham rolling with the Huskies to roll into the Glass Bowl. I like Toledo at home again, so that's who I'm rolling with. And Graham, far more optimistic so far than I am about the Huskies. As we move into their game against UMass, we both have that down as a win. But man, the MAC did NIU 0 favors. A road game at Toledo midweek, and then a road game up at UMass midweek. That's a fun travel stretch for the Huskies there.
Yeah, I mean it's a they're doing a ton of traveling across the country. They head out to Maryland. They are going to Mississippi State. They're going to Eastern Michigan. They're going to Toledo. They're going to UMass. Not a ton of West Coast travel, which is what they're going to see next year. But following their trip to UMass, they get to come back to the friendly confines of Michigan, where Northern Illinois has had a pretty decent faring over the past few years against Western Michigan. This is on Tuesday, November 18th. A little bit of action here. I like the Huskies over the Broncos.
Yeah, Huskies at home in ice cold DeKalb. Give me NIU at home. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, then that helps you set up a really great homestand to kind of wrap up the year. So yeah, Northern Illinois at home, and then to cap off their final MAC season, a win over Kent State. I do think for Northern Illinois, like, you could have had a worse schedule. You do face Miami, Ohio, Toledo, three of the I think the conference contenders. You avoid Buffalo, which I think NIU would have loved to have that game just as revenge from a year ago. But you do avoid Buffalo. You also don't get Akron, but you do get two of the bottom three teams in the conference, UMass and Kent. So I think that they did them no favors on the travel, but they didn't exactly say, hey, we're throwing you to the dogs here.
Yeah, and frankly, all of their non-con games are winnable. There's a chance for NIU to win all of their non-con games. So yeah, not a totally tough schedule, but hard in MAC play. Taking on Ohio, Miami, and Toledo, all three contenders for the MAC this year, makes this a tougher schedule for Northern Illinois. It looks like I have the Huskies going 8-4. Which is more optimistic than I feel, but that's how the results panned out. You slightly less optimistic at 7-5, but still a bowl eligible Northern Illinois.
Yeah, I think this is the right schedule and the right layout for this team. I don't know that I would say that they're a conference contender, and they might be. Honestly, I think that they are probably in that second tier. I wouldn't say contender, but they are, kind of that dark horse tier. They're going to get everybody's best shot every single week. And so but I know Coach Hammock, he's going to have these guys focused, ready to go play some football. I think they get a tough stretch with the Ohio, the home game against Ball State, and then at Toledo. So you get a tough stretch in there, but this is going to be really, really fun. I really like what Northern Illinois has the potential to do. Wish them the best as they wrap up their final season in the Mid-American Conference before heading off to the Mountain West. And we'll see. It should be a fun season.
Absolutely. I'm really excited for some MAC football starting up here very soon. And I think Northern Illinois' farewell tour is going to be an interesting one to watch.
The swan song of the Huskies upcoming here in 2025. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate the love and support as you continue to help keep us as the number one Mid-American Conference podcast on the market. You guys want to check out all of our social media accounts and follow us, stay up to date on all the going on in the world of college sports and the MAC. Follow us at the MAC Sports Connection. Really anywhere our podcast platform is. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Amazon Music, just really anywhere that podcasts are available. You can download us. But then on our social media platforms at the MSC Podcasts, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, no MySpace, not doing a MySpace. Sorry, boomers. But then also over on Blue Sky and Facebook at the MAC Sports Connection. Thank you guys for the love and support. Our next episode upcoming will be Ohio, talking about the Ohio Bobcats. Can they defend their first title since 1968? We'll find all that more on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in.